You're listening to Real Estate in Bourbon. Whether you like it neat or on the rocks, you're in the right place. And now your host, Dawn Roy.
Holy cow. Thank you for joining us today for another version of Real Estate in Bourbon, where we talk about bourbon, one of my favorite things, and shenanigans going on in the real estate world. I need you to like and share and subscribe. Do not miss an episode, because you're not going to believe some of the absolute bleep that goes on behind the scenes. Now, we had so much fun. Oh, wait a minute. Before I get in trouble, Studio 77. Wait a minute. Hold on.
I was waiting.
Hold on. You know, he's got to train me like a puppy. Studio 77 is the reason all this is going on, because I may talk for a living, but I don't know how to do all this fun stuff. And Mr. Mike, producer Mike, is making it all happen. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
You're the one that came to me about this whole project, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate you.
So we're on our third one.
We're on number 3.
Already?
Yes.
How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. Still trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure out what I need to do or say or be, or, you know what? I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to be me. So we had an amazing guest at our last podcast called Karen Gowin, my lovely friend who's a lender, who helped a client of ours get through a sticky mess. And we thought, why not just continue and do part 2 and talk about credit and how people get themselves in trouble and how they can get out of trouble and how they can improve their credit. And because credit is really everything in our current market.
It absolutely is. It costs everything, can be so much more expensive when you go to purchase a car or do anything. So insurance even. So it's better to know.
And that really is a stumper for me.
It
It's
is.
why my insurance for my auto cares about my credit. But we poured another. We're sticking it around together.
Round 2.
Round 2. And you had some great questions during the break, by the way.
Yeah.
So let's get on it. So we were talking about, people in forbearance who had some probably negative things put on their credit that they weren't supposed to have. So when this credit happens, you made a great comment about the freecreditreport.com?
Yeah, annualcreditreport.com.
Okay.
So once a year, you're entitled to a free credit report. So what I suggest to my clients do is not pull them all 3 at once, because you get the Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. Just do one every 90 days. So then you can see if something is going to pop on your credit.
Right.
And not have to, and then you still have 2 free to go for the rest of the year. So that's another way to stay on top of it without having to pay for, some of these.
Well, they have a lot of
credit companies.
fees. I get emails from Equifax and Experian about joining some nonsense and paying a monthly fee for it, when I can just go to what you're talking about. And so the first quarter of the year I pull TransUnion, and then the second quarter I pull Experian, whatever, and just go on down the road, and then I get my whole picture,
right,
and I'm ready to go.
Yep,
right?
Absolutely. And the one thing I will say is that don't do Experian Boost.
Why is that? Is it a waste?
Help. It is a waste.
They send emails all the time about that.
Yep, it does not help on mortgage. It may help consumer, but it really doesn't help on mortgage.
Wait. So consumer mortgage, so a consumer credit versus a mortgage credit, what is the difference?
It's total different model. So
how you see credit on the lending side.
Right. So for the tri-merge, which is what mortgage companies pull, it's a whole different modeling system than what consumer does. So basically, you're just trying to, I lost my train of thought. I better have another sip.
That's what happens when you get 32.
Exactly.
And have a birthday like you had today.
Yeah, I had a birthday.
You had a birthday.
But no, that's the way to stay on top of it, though, is that with Experian Boost, it basically, it's a different modeling system.
But what are they trying to accomplish with this boosting thing?
It's just a game. I think it's just a moneymaker for them.
Right.
So it really doesn't. So basically on mortgage, it counts as a debt for you, because even though your utilities may be being reported
because that's what they're telling you. Like if we add your cell phone bill, your utilities bill, we add these other things to your credit. If you're an on-time payer with these services, it enhances your credit, right?
Right.
That's what the promise is?
That's what the promise is for Experian Boost. But here's what happens is that counts as a debt against you. So even though it's
Wait a minute, are you serious?
I am serious. So the thing is, with credit, when I've talked to the credit bureaus directly and I asked, does this really help? She goes, no, it's best for them to remove it because it's not helping on the mortgage modeling system for the credit bureaus. So it doesn't help. So if they're doing it for that,
It's not going to
save
work.
their money. Yeah.
I bet you, I mean, as many times as I get emails. I mean, have you ever seen that email?
No.
Mike?
No.
Oh, it's on TV
It's on
all
ads
the
all the time.
Experian Boost. The better thing to do is one, like we've talked before,
Right.
is don't be afraid. Have
Don't-
your credit pulled.
Right.
When you hear that, oh, my credit score is going to go down, guess what? It
What,
counts
1
as
point maybe?
Yeah, it's a couple of points. Now, if you went out there and you opened up 3 or 4 different credit cards, absolutely, that's going to take a ding because they're looking like you're increasing your debt, trifold or
Right.
whatever.
You know what I don't like is when people tell me, and I used to be in the car business. I was worked for BMW for almost 18 years and all. But I used to hate when people say, "Oh, I don't want them to pull my credit too many times because it's going to hurt me." And it's like, yes, but that's like if you did it like 10 times in one day or something.
But you know what?
If
Car
you do it in the
dealerships, I'm just going to have to say, it's like a shotgun. That will take you down.
Because
car
they're
dealerships
shopping
in
for the
general-
best. Because they're shopping for the best
But
lender.
it's just like it's a shotgun approach.
Right.
So if I always say, look, I only want it to be pulled by one. Whatever your best offer is out there, go and pull it because either that or get your own financing, which they don't want you to do because they make
They
money
want to
on the
finance you through the
financing.
dealership.
Right.
But I've seen it, yes, when someone's gone to get a car and it's just, it takes their scores down like
because
20,
they're not
30
getting
points.
they're not getting the best of that, so they're
No.
like trying this and then no.
Yeah, no. So that in that defense, it is not good
But
to
I
have
was
a car
told,
dealership.
or I have been told, that let's say I'm shopping for a mortgage rate, right? If I have a couple of different mortgages or mortgage companies pull my credit, that because it's under the same umbrella,
If it's
that
with-
doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Within
Okay.
30 days, it counts as one inquiry.
That's what I want to know.
So
right.
it will not
So,
take their
okay,
credit score
okay.
down. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now that's different. But if you're going out with, even though it's still you're only going to buy one vehicle, just the way the dealerships do it, it's a different
Right.
whole
If they
different
do
approach.
2, then you're okay.
Yeah.
3, but anything
But
more.
when it's like multiple, and I've seen like 6 and 7, you're like going, holy
Come on. And they're not going to be that
moly.
different from each
No.
other, to be
So-
honest with you.
yeah, not that much difference.
For it
Yeah.
to be, for you to be shopping like that.
So again, you can always go to whatever I went to Navy Federal Credit Union,
Right.
and I got pre-approved. So I already had my financing in place, which they didn't like.
That's what I've done with my USAA.
Yep.
Is every car that I've bought,
I think
even
that's what you need to do, though.
even privately bought,
Right.
USAA.
Because I knew what my rate was going to be. Now they go in there and they can say, "Oh, my rate's going to be like 3 or 4 points higher." I'm like, "No, I'm all good." Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I have a actual letter that shows that I
What's
can
going on.
wirely
And you're not
transfer.
going to change things when you get to the closing table.
No.
I mean, I bought, you brought up cars, and it's a little sore spot
Well,
for the women folk in the world. And I don't mean to deter, but this is how this sort of thing goes. I mean, I was shopping about a year ago. I had, for 5 years, I'd had on my screensaver on my computer a GT Mustang, a picture of a GT. It was a Shelby. I don't want to pay the money for a Shelby, but I like the color scheme, the striping. That's what I wanted it to look like. So I called my car husband, because I have like a lawn husband, a car husband, a handyman husband. You do.
It's your lifeline.
It's like my lifeline.
Yep.
And and they're all married and they're all my girlfriend's husbands. I'm like, Keith, I said, I want that car. It's time to go. And I went through my own bank. I had my own finance. I knew exactly what I was going to do with it. And I went to multiple dealerships and they pulled this kind of shiz-bang kind of nonsense on you. And by the time I got to like the third or fourth one, I was like prime for bear. I was probably super ugly to this guy because I would, go, I like the car enough to sit down with your I want tax title tags. I just want the basics. Don't get, charge me for nitrogen in the tires. Don't charge
What's
me
your
on the
final number, right?
I want the bottom line without all your nonsense.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's why I tell people to buy a Tesla, because the day and
I
age,
knew we were going to talk
the
about the
day
Tesla.
and age, well, not even that, but how you buy a car these days
Yeah.
is exactly how Tesla
Runs their
in
business model.
This is the price. This is if you want it.
It is
and
literally-
There's nothing hidden behind it whatsoever.
Well, it's painful. It's painful
it
to
is
buy
painful.
a car.
Oh, it is.
And I have to say to all you car guys out there, you dealerships, all you local dealerships, stop treating women like we're not the decision maker.
So when
Or that we know nothing.
So
right?
when my father-in-law went to go buy a car, and I was out of the game, but I know how to.
You know how it works.
How it
you know
works,
the inner
whatever.
workings.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, we're gonna have to be there for 8 hours, la la la," and I was like, and he was dead set on.
thought for sure.
I had him out in 45 minutes.
Wow. He was like,
Because I had them do all the work before we got there.
Right.
I had him do all the legwork of the color and stuff like that. He was worried about test driving the car. I said, "You test drive the car.
If you like it.
If you like it, then we'll give them the thumbs up, and they'll
we're done.
do all the paperwork or whatever."
Right. They're just
And I
gonna
said,
print out
now,
our
if
tag.
there was another finance manager that's dealing with somebody
my
else,
God.
then you might have to wait a minute or whatever because they're dealing with them. But you'll be out in less than an hour. He did not believe me.
And you did it.
In 45 minutes. And I'm like, "All right, let's go get some lunch." And he's like,
well, and it should be that way.
Right.
By the way, you know what I mean.
But
We're not
people don't know
talking.
how to- they don't
listen,
know how to-
I think sometimes buying a house is less painful than buying a car. And literally, we finally found the color. You know, it popped up one Saturday. I called Keith. I'm like, "Get your little ass over here. Let's go see it." We walk into the dealership, and it has happened multiple times. The big burly sales guy comes out and looks at Keith and goes, "What do you think?" I mean, it's a beautiful 2020 GT, 6-speed manual. Mama, don't drive no automatic. Come on now. And he says, "How do you like the car?" And he's like,
"Yeah."
You might want to be talking to her, okay?
Yeah.
And went through all the shenanigans. We test drove it. Of course, we're hauling ass down 288, and I am like, he goes, "You're buying this." I'm like, Mama's owning this right here. This is what happened. And the what they put me through, and I said, "Listen, we're going to talk about the price on it. I want tax, title, and tags. Don't send your guy over here to talk about acid rain and all your clear coating and your warranty. I don't want to talk about that crap." I said, "I just want bottom line on this." And he's like, "Well, I don't know about the price because, we've had a lot of interest in this car." I said, "Are they standing in front of you right now with a checkbook?"
Oh, my gosh.
"Help me out. Help a sister out." So long story short, I mean, they said, "Okay, we got you about 45 minutes to get in front of the finance guy to, do the paperwork." And I looked at Keith. It was like 11 o'clock in the morning. I said, "Wood and iron, let's go have a beer." So we go down there. We're having lunch, having a drink, and they're like, "Well, your car's ready." I said, "We'll be there when we're there. We'll be there when we get there."
Yeah.
And I get in front of the guy, and he's starting through the paperwork, and all of the fees that I told the sales guy, "You're not adding to this car." I said, "Wait a minute, boo-boo. We're going to back this stuff up. Well, we got to go through all the paperwork. No one told me about it." I said, I told the sales guy who should have relayed it to you, I'm not paying all these fees.
Yeah.
Well, no one told me. I said, "So you have two choices. You either back it out and redo the paperwork, or
I'm walking.
It's a luxury purchase. I don't have to have it."
He can do it in less than 5 minutes. He can do it in less than 5 minutes.
And Keith is like, "Man, when I buy my next car, I'm bringing, I'm not in relationship with you. This is a transaction." It's what I try to get across to my clients. You are in a transaction. Stop falling in love with the product before we get you in said product.
Oh yeah, when I bought my
Right?
my second Tesla, and I bought it, my wife actually found it online. It was in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, and I had USAA. The dealer had USAA.
Boom.
I said, "How's the vehicle?" Blah, blah. He's like, "It's great." Less than 4 hours later, it was wired over, and I just had to find a shipping company
To send that boy home.
And so, this car is not cheap.
Right.
And so my father-in-law was
Losing it.
and "You bought a car without driving it?" I'm like,
It's a
it has this 8,000 miles on it. It's fine, and it's under warranty. So
Whatever.
people get flipped out when they don't actually touch it, and it's like that day is long gone.
Well, and I think that generation too, Michael, the shopping process was part of the fun. You know what I mean? I think they really going to the dealership and putting, getting in the car and, messing with the sales guy. and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Listen, now they mess with us, and I told the guy, and I told Keith, I said I probably was too hard on that guy, but at the end of the day, I was already down the line. I'd already gone to several dealers, and I was already being tired of being messed with. They had put a sticker of their dealership, and I won't mention the dealership, but they had put a sticker on the bumper. This car had 6,000 miles on it.
The bumper?
On the bumper, they had put the sticker of the dealership's name on it. And I said to the guy, I said, so what moron in the hierarchy of this dealership thinks putting a sticker on a Mustang GT premium packet? Who thought that was nice?
Right.
And he said, well, we want you to advertise our car as you drive around Midlothian.
Right.
And I said, I'll tell you what I'll do, brother. You pay me $100 a month, 5 years in advance, and I'll drive with your damn sticker on that car.
Yeah.
He goes, well, that's not how it works. And I said, I didn't think so. I said, so when I actually take delivery of this car, if there's literally the slightest... Now, I don't know. You might know this about me. People have gone, why didn't you bring Delilah? I call her Delilah. Her license plate says Delilah. She's lovely. If there's even the threat of rain, if there's a possibility there's a storm cloud within 5 miles, I don't drive that car. She is in the garage. She is pristine, and she's beautiful. That's a pretty bitch. I got to tell you. Let's just put a quarter in the swear jar. But because I had good credit, I had gone and done my own financing, they messed with me some. They couldn't mess with me to where it was a detriment to me.
Right.
That's the key.
The power.
The power. You've got to know what you can buy, how much you can buy, where you can buy, what it's going to cost you to buy, and be willing to walk away.
Yeah.
From the buy.
Yeah.
And we had walked out of 3 other dealerships with a little sales guy chasing us. What happened? I'm like, your boo in finance done messed you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you get emotionally attached to anything, and this goes for I don't care whether it's buying a car or buying a house, if you become emotionally involved, you have lost.
Yep.
Period.
Well, this happened to a girlfriend of mine, bought a vehicle. I won't say the dealership's name, but...
I think you need to cuss at least once before the...
But anyway, she took it for the weekend, and it was just... There was noises. It was
amazing.
It was
that
something
it was
wrong
so bad.
with it.
Right.
It was so bad. She came back that following Monday. She'd called him over the weekend. This is the problem. I want the different vehicle. I want the other one. We're like, well, you're going to lose this much money. And I was like, oh, hell to the no. So I went back in, and I was like, going, So they came back and talked to the general manager. It took a little bit, but I was like going, dude, I don't care, but you're not going to tell her that she can't stop. You can't unravel this other transaction, and she's going to lose like $5,000 because the vehicle sucks. You
sold a defective product
Yeah.
only a few days ago, and you can't unravel that deal.
Yep.
It hasn't hit anything yet.
It hasn't hit anything yet.
No.
So man, they were like, my girl.
You
I call her
are
my
a mama
sister.
bear. I love
because
it.
it makes me crazy. They think that I should say they. You know what? It's even in the mortgage industry. They think that women aren't strong. They don't know. And it's like I've had managers who are like, I know more than they do, and you're like going, what is wrong with this world? But no, they don't give us credit to know that we can stand up for ourselves.
Well,
and that was wrong, and making it right.
And truly, and I am very surprised. And I'm not a bra burner.
No.
I'm not a liberal feminist. I don't
I'm
hate
not either.
men. I love men. I had one of the most amazing fathers God will ever put breath into. I have a brother who, in a flip of a moment, I would move to Texas just to be near him because that's how amazing he is. Men are fabulous creatures, and I adore them. However, in the purchasing realm, when we are out there being consumers, I don't think wonderful men like Michael and others in my world understand how we're perceived and treated. And like I said, I am no feminist bra burner. But for the love of decency, when I, as a single female, walk into your dealership,
Talk to me.
have some respect. Mm-hmm. I have a great analogy, and not even an analogy, a quick story. I had an aunt, and she and her husband had a barbecue pit in Elkin, North Carolina, which is a podunk town compared to a lot of other places. And one of the things that she always told me is she says, when you are engaging a couple, you cater to the lady first. You serve her the largest steak first. You serve her the prettiest platter first, because whether anybody wants to admit it or not, she's the real decision maker in the house. And I went, wait a minute. I haven't been treated that way, and that's how I'd like to be treated. And not like, and I'm not trying to be, it's not like a men are misogynist. We're not playing that political game, but I think that's really good advice. Because my dad had a restaurant. I grew up in a restaurant. I literally think that I want to do a book sometime that says, the title's going to be Everything I Know About Real Estate I Learned Slinging Hash. But I used that in my restaurant, dealings with my dad. If I had a couple and they ordered the same thing, her plate, I gave her the prettiest of the plates. I gave her the largest of the steak. I always, you know what I mean? And even now, if you're engaging with couples, I don't ever defer only to the man, like he's the only one making the decision. I've had many females in a couple relationship be the one that it's her family money that's bringing the money to the table to buy a house. And I actually got into a confrontation. I wasn't in the confrontation, but I'm sitting here and the attorney's sitting there, and across the table from these two, and they're both lawyers. The couple that are buying are both lawyers. Their first home, it was like a $600,000 house in the West End as their first home, and she's bringing all the money for the down payment, like over $100,000, and the attorney for the settlement agent is only speaking to the man.
Oh.
And he stopped the conversation. He says, I'll tell you one thing right now. We are going to stop this closing if you continue to disrespect my wife, because she's the one the money's coming from. And you better start looking at her and addressing her.
Good for him.
And I went,
hallelujah.
Oh. I was like, are you kidding? That is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. And he shriveled up into a ball. I mean, he didn't even know what to do. He was stumbling over himself. And so that's what I mean. It's like, as professionals, and then you and I see it differently because we are female, right? But as professionals and the men that we work with in our profession, do yourself
a solid.
Yeah. And stop only thinking that in a couple situation, the man's the decision maker, because 9 times out of 10, he ain't the one.
That's right.
Just putting it out there.
Absolutely.
How about your household, boo-boo? What's going on?
What do you mean?
Who makes the decisions here?
I mean, I don't know.
I think it's very equal with you guys.
It's
right?
equal. It's hard because we're both business owners.
And that takes it to a different level.
It's a different level. Our life is
it's unique.
It's chaotic, in some regards. We don't have, we have 2 kids. We have a nanny. That's
absolutely
during the week. We chose to do that way because we didn't want to put our kids in daycare.
God bless you.
So
God bless you.
And we have a son that goes to Banner.
Yes.
We decided to do private, and because we did
100%.
We did experience the education schools, the regular schools here, and I do not like them.
I am with you.
So, especially middle school through high school. And so,
good for you.
Especially what's happened with COVID, right? There's education has.
Well, my son and my future daughter-in-law, I've told both of them, if you decide to bring children into the world, number one, that's your choice. You're raising them, not me. Gigi will take them on an amazing adventure in an RV every July, once they can walk and talk and go to the bathroom on their own. Let's get real. However, they're never going to set foot in the public school system. Whatever Gigi has to do to make those babies a priority from their educational point of view, whether you want to homeschool or you want to, like Banner. My kids went to Richmond Christian for elementary school, So I'm a big proponent of that.
Yeah. I mean, and Owen's only gone through kindergarten, but just through kindergarten, it's night and day.
Oh, it's 100% night and day.
You know what I'm saying? And these classrooms there's only 7 in this class.
Oh my gosh, how lovely.
And I think the first grade, maybe there's going to be like the same or maybe 12.
Right.
And that's it.
Right.
And so, it's just.
That intimate educational experience, that makes a difference. It's just like you and I. Our intimate relationship helps the people that we engage with. It's about relationship. we have tried to, like warehouse children into daycare centers, into these large public school systems, and then we go, why are they having problems? Because they're like a bobbin in the water and they're lost. They feel lost. I feel lost for them. And COVID just shot that out.
Blew it out the water.
It blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
Which is super sad. And all the more reason to circle back around to what we're talking about is to be mindful of your credit, mindful of your buying power, mindful of your finances, and being prepared to make those decisions for your family when those decisions need to be made. But you already don't be afraid to pull your credit.
No, absolutely. And
don't be afraid to know.
Exactly.
Right?
Because knowledge is what I said to you before. Knowledge is power. So know what you know, because then you can plan action to correct it.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it can only take 2 or 3 months. Sometimes it might take you 6 months to 9 months. But at least you're closer to your path to get to where you want to be. Because the longer that you procrastinate and you don't handle, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So I can help guide the way, but I can't be the one that does the work. You have to do the work. So if you want the guidance, can definitely help you to get there. But you got to do, and you want to know, you need to know what you know.
You need to know.
Yep.
You need to know.
And there
And
are
sometimes
options.
pulling
It's
off
not
that
the end
Band-Aid is not as painful as you think it is.
Oh, exactly.
Well,
Because sometimes your credit could be fine. You just think the worst. You think that the media is telling you you have to have 20%
If you're listening
down.
to the media, stop it now.
Yeah. Because there's so
on
many
anything to do with real estate.
There's so
Stop
many
it.
programs out
my
there.
Lord.
You need to talk to somebody
You need to
who
get
has your
plugged
best
in.
interests.
Thank
exactly.
you.
Well,
with a community activist.
Also, talking about like the younger generation or the younger kids, they're seeing like they need to have that expensive house right off the bat,
Oh.
and it's like, or like I had someone who worked for me that they were I was driving what I was driving, whatever, and I was like, I'm 40 years old. I've had the junky car in my days. You're 22.
Yeah.
Like you
Drive the junky car.
Saying like it takes time for you
Live
to build.
in the apartment.
It's going to take time for you to build up your credit and build up your life and stuff like that. It doesn't happen overnight.
Although that first-time home buyer price has gone up substantially, right?
Well, it has gone up substantially, but Michael is completely correct. I mean, I've got millennials, and there's people with children who are younger that they want to be in what Mama lives in.
Yeah.
Like now.
Yeah.
My first house was $91,000. It was a 3-bedroom transitional at 8.5%. So don't get yourself crazy about what's the rates today. What do you got? 5.5?
5.5.
Okay.
Could be a little
So
bit less.
everybody's losing their
Go ahead.
shit over 5.5%. My first house was 8.5%, and I was like, oh my God. Yes. Are you kidding me? We won the lottery. But we could buy a 3-bedroom home for $91,000. I know that sounds ancient. It was in 92, 91. I had my first child in 1994. You can't buy a starter home for $91,000 now, but so inflation has caused the price of homes to go up, but it's also caused your income to go up. It's all relative. Rising tides lift all boats. You've got to look at this in a more pragmatic way than going, I can't do a 3% loan anymore, and at 5.5% that puts me out of the water. Well, do you want you're paying a mortgage, and it's called your landlord's mortgage payment.
Right.
So decide whose mortgage payment you want to pay, because housing, whether it be rental housing or ownership of housing, is not going to go down.
No, it's continued to appreciate. And I used to, in my prior life, before becoming a mortgage loan officer, I used to do 401k. So it's your time in the market, not timing the market. So
that is wait. Girl, say that again.
It's your time in the market, not timing the market. So the same with the house. You purchase now, you're going to continue to get that appreciation. So the longer you stay out, whether you think it's, oh my God, the interest rates, well, you're missing out on that appreciation. So rates are cyclical. They'll go up, but they'll also come back down. So
and don't let that be the thing that makes the determination for you. I have first-time home buyers over 18 months ago who decided to renew their rent lease, which is their prerogative, okay? No boo-boo there, because they didn't want to be in this crazy game, and what they wanted to buy for, like, say, $250,000 was not what they really wanted to be in. It's about
move up. right?
It's about your expectation.
Yeah.
They're still in a rental. At 3%, they could have bought 250. What can they buy at 5.5? Number one. Number two, that 250 is probably worth 3.25 now. So they're sitting on a solid $75,000 minimum appreciation in a 2-year period of time. What you just said makes all the sense in the world when you stop thinking. And if I have one more person ask me, is the market going to crash so I can buy low? It's not going
to happen.
Freaking happen.
It's still an inventory shortage.
I'm going to say, I want to say a cuss word really bad.
I have someone that is related, and like I'm like, it's not. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. You'll figure it out.
So this is the difference, and I want people to hear me because, and hear Karen and hear Michael, because what you're hearing on social media, what you're hearing on the mainstream media news is absolute bullshit.
It's fear-mongering.
Okay? It's fear-mongering because they need you to tune in every night. This is the reality. We are not in a 2008 scenario. 2008 was a financial crisis. 2022 is an inventory crisis. When you have a lack of... So bourbon, by the way, during Prohibition, they destroyed barrels and barrels and barrels of bourbon. I almost could have a heart attack thinking about it. When you limit the access to something, it makes its value go up. It is pure economics, okay?
Demand.
So right now, you still have to qualify. In 2008, if you could fog a mirror... you got a loan.
Well, that when I talked about in the last podcast about how someone had a house
in your name,
that was right before then.
Right.
It was like 06. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
Shady things were happening, I guess, that I didn't know about.
Right. A lot of shady things were happening. Literally, the government was telling mortgage companies, you need to lend to whoever for fear of being caught in discriminatory practices, right? And so they started lending just as a free-for-all. That's not where we are now. You must qualify for the mortgage. The reason home prices are escalating is and in Richmond, we're one of the most competitive markets in the country. We went up almost 20% year over year appreciation. 3.5% to 4% is a healthy appreciation for buyer and seller power, right? Right now, it's a seller power situation because we have no homes. We have less than a month of inventory. There's no crash. You're not, unless an unforeseen event is coming that or most of the lenders that I know, or most of the economic people that I know, an influx of inventory out of the sky, as long as we have less of something, it's always going to be more valuable. So stop with this fear-mongering or believing the nonsense that they're peddling. I say turn off all the media on your television. I don't care who it is. Fox, MSNBC, CNN, all of them are literally just trying to get ratings. You need to plug in to a professional lender, a professional realtor who knows the area, who knows what they're talking about, because long term, owning a home is still the best hedge against inflation, the best hedge against any kind of financial upset. You must have ownership for you to have value in your portfolio.
Oh, absolutely. I have a client who purchased their home 2.5 years ago, bought it for $345,000. They just recently sold it for $450,000. Wow. So where are you going to get that?
The stock market doesn't do that.
No.
Because my stock portfolio
lately
is in the shitter right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But and the home that I own has doubled in its value. I'm not going anywhere. Because I love...
You can't find.
Well...
You're going to pay more to get more.
Buy a travel trailer and tour the country. But that being said, and I think that what we're talking about here is super important. People, all y'all, as the Winston-Salem, North Carolina in me is wanting to tell you, all y'all, plug into people like Karen. Plug into resources that are local to you. Don't call the Rocket Mortgages and all of that online horse shit because they only want to sell you today. Plug into people that are in your community, that own a home in your community, have raised their children in your community, that care about their own community.
and that have your best interests at heart.
And have your best interest in heart. And I'm telling you, there's people like that out there. This sweet lady's right there. She's out there. There's people that care about you, not about selling you the house, but not only selling you the house and celebrating the children that you bring into that house and celebrating your life in that house and helping you when life turns a little dark in that house.
Right. And just know that, credit it's a piece in time, right? But once you know,
it's a tool.
It's a tool, and if you know where you're at, then you can move up from there. And that's the only way to kind of better your circumstances and not pay extra for something that you don't have to. Every time you go to buy a car or buy furniture or buy whatever, you're not going to be paying
more than you should.
What is it? Extortion rate, interest rates.
Right. And if I'm going to pay extortion money, I'm going to do it with bourbon, because that will always be the best buy. And I want to thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for being with us. And I hope that talking to Karen has brought you some great information for credit resources and how you can handle it.
How can they get a hold of you?
My cell phone number is 804-350-2525. So I'd be more than happy to help. And if you have any circumstances that you're having difficulty in, just let me know.
We're going to bring it.
I'm going to be a great resource for you.
100%. Like, share, subscribe, come back again, because we're going to highlight another great bourbon. We're going to have more fun. And we're going to bring more shenanigans to you, because the real estate market is full of some amazing stories. Can't wait to see you again. And after that, just be fantastic and have a great life.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Real Estate and Bourbon with Dawn Roy. If you have any questions about something you've heard on today's episode, send us an email to realestateandbourbon@gmail.com.